Drift fishing from a drift boat differs very little than bank fishing. It allows you to fish with a little shorter rod because you're standing taller, and there is no doubt you have access to water you might not otherwise be able to fish. For our purposes, it serves as a way to review a number of things we've gone over in the tape. Put it all together, so to speak.
Nick, I notice you keep your rod fairly high when you're drifting downstream. How come?
Well, that keeps the line out of the water so that the sinker gets to the bottom quickly, and then I'm able to mend the line and control the speed. If you let the current grab the line, if you keep your rod too low, it'll pull your presentation too quickly through the water, and it'll pull it up off the bottom.
But the trick is to keep your rod at about a 10 o'clock, right? So it's not too high, so you can still get a hook set, but keep it high enough so you keep line out of the water so it doesn't give that push downstream and make for an unnatural presentation, right?
Exactly. Although I do keep it kind of high right when I cast and then drop it down to let that light sinker go down.
Right. Even when you use a heavier lead like I'm using with my level wind today, it's the same thing. I'll want to throw out. And as you say, you want to stay high right away to pull that line up out of the water, gather up your slack until I feel bottom, and just keep it at like 10 o'clock as it goes downstream.
And then you can slowly drop your rod to keep it in touch with the bottom, or start back reeling, or
like in my case,
to extend the drift.
I can just feed like this and extend my drift, or leave my bail open.
You can do the same with this setup, but you've got to be a little bit careful.
It is worth reviewing how to achieve the best drift from shore or in a boat. First, make as short a cast as possible. The shorter the cast, the easier it is to control your drift. The greater your contact with your rig, and the easier it is to set the hook. Second, you want your rig to be down in fishing when it reaches the water you believe the fish to be holding in. This might mean moving up or down a little and changing the angle of your cast. You want to be making your presentation slightly upstream of the prime holding water to allow your rig time to reach the bottom and be moving about a foot above your weight and through the fish strike zone. You will have to experiment depending upon the water speed, depth, and structure to make sure your bait is being presented directly to the fish. You want your presentation to be drag-free. You do this by having the right amount of weight for the conditions, and by keeping your rod up and preventing your surface line from dragging across the water. Ideally, your bait will be moving slightly slower than current and just off the bottom. If it arrives at the steelhead in this position, with the bait below the weight and moving naturally, 90% of the time, they will take your offering. Remember to cover all the holding water you have selected. Start above where you think fish might be and work through and past the area. No telling when your judgment may be a little off. Increase the length of your cast until you have thoroughly exhausted what's in front of you, and then move down 4 steps and repeat the process. If the water is murky, make shorter adjustments and move more slowly. Always fish your cast completely out. Even let it hang at the end of your drift for a little while. A steelhead may have followed your presentation and could be trying to catch up with your bait. As your drift finishes, the natural sweeping action of the rig can be what triggers a strike. One final point is to check your rig whenever something out of the ordinary occurs. If you caught on a rock, you want to make sure your hook is sharp and that your line and leader hasn't frayed. Sometimes you can even tell if your bait has been picked up by a fish, and you'll want to rebait and fish the area again.